What's up, guys? Good morning. Well, at least it's morning while I'm recording this. This is the Assumptions Tag response video, and I'm sorry it's taken so long. It's been almost like a week since I posted the video asking you guys to make assumptions about me. And yeah, it's just been crazy. You know, those of you who follow me, you know that I'm moving later this week. So I've been living in absolute chaos for the last month or so, and I've been working on my house nonstop. So look, we got a lot of assumptions here, and I'm gonna plow through these. Some of you guys had some good ones in here. TNC tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Get on there, guys. Of course, we got a lot to talk about. Triple G splitting with Abel Sanchez, of course. There was a lot of great action last week. DAZN probably had the best card of the year so far, and the knockout of the year so far. And then we got the big fight coming up this weekend, right? Canelo Jacobs. So, yeah, boom. So make sure you tune in tonight. We're going to have a loaded freaking show, okay? All right, let's get right into these. I'm going to plow through these, all right? Cody, 8804. I assume you make excuses on how Lomachenko didn't really lose to Salido. Well, he lost, but there's a huge asterisk. Actually, there's a couple asterisks next to that loss. And I don't really give a shit that Lomachenko lost his second pro fight against a guy who may very well make the Hall of Fame one day. Yeah, I don't give a shit, dude. And some of you guys obsess on it way too much. All right, Chuck Hook 93 asks, says Mike owns 3 handguns. Chuck Hook 93, I don't own any guns. I used to own a handgun when I was a young thug idiot walking the streets. I had a tiny little handgun that was stolen, sawed off serial number, the whole 9. And I almost got in trouble with it a few times, and I decided, look, man, I saw a lot of my friends get locked up that had guns, get in trouble with them. And it was around that time I went into the Marine Corps and tried to clean my life up a little bit. And it worked for me, but I shot more guns in the Marine Corps than most of you guys watching this video will shoot in your entire lifetime. And they were training me to be a robot and kill people for the United States government. And when you're shooting big ass mortar rounds that are this big through a freaking tank at people you don't even know, yeah, that's enough guns for a lifetime. So I'm good on guns. Now look, maybe one point in the future I'll buy a gun again. I don't know, but I don't hunt. I've gone to the shooting range just for fun sometimes, but no, I don't own any handguns. Douglas Iglesias says, I assume that you confront all other biased race-baiting YouTube boxing reporters when you see them at fights. If not Michael Corleone, and I will be extremely disappointed. So Doug, I have. There are several people there's a couple of them in Dallas that I bumped into. But it's the same old thing, man. These guys talk real big on Twitter, and in person, they're ghosts, right? Or they get really friendly and they want to come up and shake your hand and talk really nice. There was one guy in particular who has had issues with me on Twitter a lot and has had issues with many other people in the business, and is just a shady, bad person who, you know, ran a bootleg DVD business. He's been fired from NFL Network because he made people feel uncomfortable. He was fired from Ring for selling fake press credentials. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And I know that guy was at that event. And I guess at one point, he walked right by me. I didn't see him, but I turned around and saw the back of his head. He walked right by me while I was shooting a video. He knows I was there, and he could have said whatever he wanted. He got real ghost. That's how these people are, man. Donald Feck says, I assume that if one of your loyal fans who is a huge boxing fan but has never had enough money to see a fight live asks you to hook him up with a press pass for, let's say, the Warrington versus Kid Galahad fight, I see where you're going with this, you would say, no problem, Donald, I'll get right on it. Hey, look, man, doing credentials through the Montero Unboxing name, that is something that is in the works. It is something that I'm working on. It's something that Tiff and I have talked about. And I think at one point, what I'd like to do is see if there are some of you guys out there in different markets of the world that would like to get credentialed through MOB. We're working on it. It's not something I can just do overnight. It's something that I have to build up and work with the promoters and stuff. But if we get to that point, I do think we will in the next couple of years. What it would mean is some of you guys would have to be able to shoot videos good quality videos, not crap where you just stick a phone in a fighter's face and talk to them, but you'd actually have to shoot good quality videos, interviews, things like that, a ringside report, something like that. It'd have to be of a certain quality level, and then send that file to me through Dropbox or something. So we'd have to kind of work out a system, but that is definitely something in the works that it's not there yet, Donald, but it's something that I'm definitely working on, bro. And I think that it would be awesome if some of you guys in the UK, in Tokyo, in Germany, in LA, in New York, wherever it is, in different parts of the country, some of you guys that follow the sport religiously and you follow my work and you see things a similar way and you understand my style, the way I like to present things, we can work together. That's definitely something in the works. The Fight Scout. I assume that when your wife's parents bring you that authentic backwater or Asian food, you have trouble eating it. Is that a serious assumption? I'll tell you this. Tiffany is Chinese and Vietnamese, but I've talked about this, right? Her family immigrated here from Vietnam, and they've introduced me to Vietnamese food, which I didn't realize how amazing it is and how much better than Chinese food it is. Chinese food is extremely overrated. Like dim sum, that shit sucks in my opinion. Vietnamese food smokes it, and that stuff is very fresh. The ingredients and everything, it's very light. And I'm telling you, man, sometimes after a weekend of traveling, being with friends, family, eating a bunch of heavy food, I crave Vietnamese food now because it's very, very light and clean and it just makes you feel better. I don't know, dude. So I don't know where the hell you're eating Asian food, but you need to go somewhere else, somewhere better. Marcus R. Montero's dong is 7.5 inches. Where's Tiffany at? She should answer this one. Honestly, dude, yeah, yeah, 7, 8, it's probably too much info for you guys, but right in that range. And I'm thicker than most. I'm just going to put that out there. And, if you think I'm lying, ask Tiffany. Get her opinion. Kamere asks, first assumption, or doesn't ask. I keep saying ask because I'm used to answering questions. These are assumptions. Kamere, first assumption, you were bullied by big black guys in your childhood in Detroit. That's why you hate boxers from the quote-unquote demographic like Mayweather, the Charlo brothers, Andrade, and Wilder, LOL. I don't know if this is a joke or if you're serious. I like how you don't just say black guys, you say big black guys, because if you're going to be bullied by black guys, they should be big black guys, right? Look, I did get... I don't want to say bullied, but I got in some fights and stuff when I was younger because I did look different than a lot of kids, in my neighborhood. So yeah, there was a lot of racism from black dudes that I fought when I was younger. But most of my friends were black. Most of my coaches, most of my principals, my teachers, my counselors, my bosses throughout much of my life until I moved to Los Angeles at 30 were black. So most black people are great people, but there's some black people who are dicks, who are bags of shit. It's the same thing with everybody on earth. The whole demographic thing, I'm thinking about doing a video just explaining that again, because some of you guys have really hung on to that and you just don't understand that term was used as a play on words to make fun of people who are obsessed with demographics. That's the whole reason that term was used. And what's so funny is people freaked out and doubled down on it, not realizing that they were just being trolled with it. But it's not just limited to black people. It's a point of view. It's not a demographic. It's a play on words. If you'd like me to explain that, let me know. But I don't hate Mayweather, the Charlo brothers, Andrade, Wilder. There are things about, look, do I hate Billy Joe Saunders? Do I hate... There's plenty of fighters of different backgrounds who I've criticized, right? But there are things about every one of those fighters you named here that I could criticize, And all I'm doing is telling the truth, dude. But we live in a society where some people feel that you have to treat certain groups of people with kid gloves. You can't criticize them because, to me... when you say that kind of stuff, that is almost dissing those people and saying they're not strong enough to handle criticism. Black people are equal to me. Black people are equal to everybody. So they can handle criticism just as much as anyone else. So I'm going to hold a black fighter to the same standard as an Anglo fighter, a Mestizo fighter, an Asian fighter, a Hapa fighter, whatever. I'm going to hold everyone to the same standard because I see everybody equally. That's it. So anyway, I don't know if you're trolling there or if that was a legit assumption. But no, I didn't get bullied by big black guys. I did. The biggest bully I ever had was an Italian guy, coincidentally named Rocky. Now, how stereotype is that shit? But one time, Rocky, when we got off the bus and I was walking home, there was a dumpster right there, and he grabbed a big 2x4, and somebody had left it out like for the garbage man or whatever. He grabbed like a 2x4 and chased me with it. It was gonna beat me up with a 2x4. I remember that. And I had glasses, and I got home, and my dad and my mom both said, take your glasses off, because they didn't want me to break them. Take your glasses off, put them down, and beat the shit out of them. That's what they both told me. But yeah, the biggest dude who ever picked on me was an Italian guy named Rocky. Fleener asked, I assume you're not religious one bit. Very good assumption, Fleener. I was raised Roman Catholic, but I am now an atheist. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just not religious. Cody 8804, I assume you come up with a reason why Golovkin's next opponent, and he quotes Steve Rolls, isn't so bad, or skim over it even though you skewered Canelo for fighting a top 10 super middleweight. Congratulations, Cody. You got Golovkin into a video that had nothing to do with Golovkin. Your Golovkin obsession wins out again, brother. You got him mentioned in a video that really had nothing to do with boxing. Doesn't have to. This is a video about life. But so just to correct you, okay, I've been pretty critical of the Steve Rolls fight, especially on Twitter. And I actually contributed to the Canelo Fielding fight program for Golden Boy Promotions. If you were such a Canelo fan as you pretend to be on YouTube, I'm assuming you went to that fight at MSG and you put your money where your mouth is. And if you did, and you got a fight program, and you opened up right to the very middle of it, you would see an article I wrote for the Canelo Fielding fight program entitled A Night of Fists and Firsts. And I talked about all the things breaking down that fight. So, yeah, do I think it was a mismatch? Sure. But I very clearly said that Canelo gets a soft touch in his first fight with DAZN and first fight after those two Triple G fights. So, yeah, I criticized the fight being a mismatch, but it's not like I said, it's not like I did not skewer Canelo for that, dude. I don't know where you're so sensitive about Canelo. Relax, breathe. And you know what, dude? It doesn't always have to be about Golovkin and Canelo. There are other boxers out there. And sometimes we can just talk about life. You can make other assumptions except for your favorite fighters, all right? All right, Jimmy the Gent, you voted for Trump. Wrong. For the 5,000th time, I did not vote for Trump. I don't know why people assume that about me. Ken Close, not that you, look, if you voted for Trump, good for you. I don't give a shit. That's my whole thing. Like, voting for Trump doesn't make you a bad guy. Voting for Hillary doesn't make you a good guy. Like, I didn't vote for Hillary either. I didn't vote for either of them, just to let you guys know. When I do vote, which is very rare, because I think our system is broken and I'm not represented in this system, regardless of what some of you wackos may think politically, I am not represented in this system, no more than most of you watching this. In fact, some of you guys watching this are more represented because you have a box to check that, you know, a certain politician might, you know, gravitate to have some power over you. But if I do vote, it's pretty much third party. I don't really side with either party. Ken Close, we assume you are a tough guy, but what are you fearful of? Oh shit, man. Yeah, I got fears. I mean, not accomplishing my goals, not having enough time to do what I want to do. I look back and, you know, I look back my high school days, my 20s, and I think, man, what a bunch of wasted time. I just did a lot of stupid shit, and there was so much more I could have accomplished with that time. And sometimes I feel like I'm running out of time. And it's like I turned 40 next month. I still got a lot of life to live, But I'm like, man, there's so much I want to accomplish and so much I want to do before a certain age, before a certain stage of my life. And sometimes I just feel like I'm running out of time and I can't do it. I'll tell you one thing I'm fearful now. I'll never get my damn house together. And did I make the right move? Leaving Los Angeles and coming here to Atlanta. Was it the right move? It's something I'm still struggling with. I've been out here about 10 months now, 11 months. Not a full year yet, but I asked Tiffany just this weekend. We were driving to the house to work on it. And I said, baby, did we make the right choice? And she's the same. We don't know yet. We really don't. There's some days where it feels like we absolutely did. When we look at, just some of the insanity going on in California, particularly Los Angeles. But then this weekend on the Zone show on Friday, the Estrada Rungvisai rematch, I saw my boys, Steve Kim and Doug Fisher and Mike Baca, do a little feature, a little vignette before that fight on the Zone. And I couldn't help but think, yeah, if I was still in LA, I would have been on that vignette. I would have either probably had Baca's place, or it would have been all four of us from the old 10 count show on UCN Live. That's obviously where that hookup came from. And I would have been on that vignette. You know what I'm saying? So I saw that. It was like, I saw the Lomachenko fight recently when they were showing LA Live. And I was like, man, it just made me homesick, because I lived like 2 miles away from LA Live. I lived, just west of it in Koreatown. And man, that made me homesick as hell. So yeah, that's something I'm really fearful of. But we all have fears, man. And all you can do is try to face them. Just punch that shit in the face and keep going forward. Azier, I assume you always support American boxer, even if he fights foreigner, no matter who it is. That's a bad assumption, bro. And if you follow me, you would know better, because that's just not true. There are plenty of times where an American is fighting. Number one, I don't support anybody. I can't. It's unethical for me to support one fighter over another. I try to be as unbiased as possible. But I have certain preferences. There are certain fighter styles I like. There are certain platforms that I think put on a better quality product over others. For the most part, there are always exceptions. But to say that I just blindly favor an American over everyone else, that's not true at all. That's absolutely not true. And in boxing, you can't do that. It's such a global sport. At some point, you're going to end up, whatever country you're from, at some point, you're going to end up favoring a fighter from another country over one of your countrymen, because this sport's so global. Let's see, Andrew Ogilvie. My assumption is that you are a conservative, libertarian, conservative in regards to government control, and libertarian to your outlook of life. I think that's probably pretty spot on. I identify myself as a classical liberal, but the needle has moved so far to the left now, and I'm not just saying that. There's it's something window. There's a term, the Overton windows. I think that might be it, something like that. You can look this up, where they look at all the different things in media, all the different factors and segments in media, and things have moved left to a certain degree, to where a classical liberal used to mean individual liberties and individual freedoms always over the collective, even at the detriment of the collective, fiercely supporting individual rights. So live and let live. However you want to live your damn life. If you want to be two gay dudes and have gay butt sex and get married, go for it. Have fun. If you want to smoke weed inside your house and you're not bothering anybody, go for it. Have fun. I don't give a damn what you do, as long as you're not hurting anybody who's not able-bodied. I don't give a damn. Like, seriously. I may not want to see the shit you're doing, because I may not want to see it, you know what I'm saying? It might be disgusting, whatever the hell you're into, but you have every damn right to do it. Live and let live. Everybody should be treated equally. Same equal protection under the law. Nobody gets special treatment. That is staunchly how I feel. Individual liberties, individual rights. Things have moved so far now that the party that used to be of classical liberalism has now moved into an authoritarian type of state, where it's about the collective, even at the detriment of the individual. So if we stomp on this one individual because it's for the quote-unquote betterment of this group, because of some social hypothesis we have about this group over here, and then the group this individual belongs to, like, that's wrong, dude. You're stomping on individual rights. when you're telling a group of people, hey, you're not allowed to come to college today. We're going to have a no fill in the blank race day. Or this group of people are not allowed to talk about this particular subject. Or this group of people can't talk about that subject. Like, that's censorship of free speech. Like, I'm not cool with that. So in modern government terms, I guess that would make me a libertarian. I guess the way things have moved and shifted. Libertarian is a very gray space, though, or gray kind of area, right? Let's see. Conservative in terms of government. I don't know if I'd say I'm conservative. I believe in a more conservative spending with government. Government shouldn't just throw a ton of money around because, look, dude, I grew up in the inner city. I went to shitty public schools. Detroit schools at one point, I don't know if it still is, but at one point, Detroit public schools, more money was spent per child with tax dollars on Detroit public school students than any other school system in the country, any other big city school system. And it was the worst schools in the country. Terrible schools. So just throwing money at a problem ain't going to fix it. It requires real solutions, right? And that often is about getting your hands dirty and getting involved and fiercely defending individual freedoms and liberties, regardless of what the media thinks about it. You always defend the individual. The individual might say or do something that you think is disgusting or deplorable or evil, but they have the right to do it so long as they're not hurting anybody. So, government, I guess, fiscally conservative, socially liberal. That's where I'd put myself. Okay, Gav Bridges, I assume you do not suffer fools gladly. I don't know what fools gladly means. You're going to have to explain that. I don't know what that is, so I guess I don't suffer it. I don't know. Jack Alter, you did very bad in school growing up and were disrespectful to the teachers. You know what? I actually was like a straight A student until middle school years. And then I started hanging out, and being a punk. And then, I was disrespectful to teachers. And I remember one teacher, Mr. Brown's cum, we call him Mr. Brown Nut. And we would take staples and throw it at him. He'd be writing on the board, and we'd try to get him right in his neck. And boom, you hit him with a staple in his neck, and he'd go, oh, and he'd turn around and be like, what's going on? He'd just be sitting there. We'd do that, and then when he'd turn around to write in the chalkboard, my cousin would go up to where the pencil sharpener was by the window, and old school pencil sharpener, we had to crank it, and when the teacher wasn't looking, I'd go up to his desk and grab like his books and toss them to my cousin, and he'd throw them out the window. We had a 3-story school, so he'd throw this shit out, just throwing the teacher's shit out the window into the yard. We did all kinds of just asshole-ish moves, man. Me and my cousins were dicks in high school. Oh my God, guys, I have so many stories I could tell you about the dumb shit we've done. Remember those Jackass movies? We didn't do some of the stuff they did where they'd like eat weird shit, and we didn't do like that kind of stuff, but like just the pranks and just being dicks and trashing people's stuff. And we were doing that shit way before those Jackass movies. Had we filmed that shit, we could have been millionaires. Kamare, third assumption, your biggest dream is to see only Eastern European fighters dominating boxing. Unfortunately, my friend, the demographic has ruled boxing over centuries and will continue to crush the Golovkins, the Usyks, the Lomachenkos of the world. Dude, you're obsessed. And it sounds like you have a lot of anger and hatred inside you. And you're making pretty bad assumptions about me. Wow. Just to put this out there for you, if you're actually really watching this and you're a real person, I did a piece on Devin Haney in Ring Magazine recently. I did a piece on Regis Prograis in Ring Magazine recently, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm also a big fan of Jarrett Hurd. I'm big on Jarrett Hurd. I'm also a big fan of Terrence Crawford. I grew up being a huge fan of Thomas Hitman Hearns. Emmanuel Stewart is one of my favorite human beings of all time. I think he's certainly the greatest trainer in the last 50 years in boxing. I can go on and on, dude. My hero growing up in Detroit was Isaiah Thomas, my hero. I had t-shirts of him, posters of him on my wall. I loved Isaiah Thomas. He was my man. He was my favorite Piston. So I can keep going on and on with that, but you're never going to hear you're just going to hear what you want to hear because you're obviously an obsessed wacko. But look at my pound for pound list. See who I have rated on my pound for pound list. It's not 10 Eastern European guys. Dude, like, there's just a lot that's wrong with you. And you're just let go, dude. Let go. Join the 21st century. Join the rest of us who all want to get along and love each other. Stop being so damn angry and so prejudiced and biased about everything. Because you're throwing so much labels at people like me because I say something you may disagree with and it triggers this visceral emotional response in you. You don't realize, dude, it's you who has the prejudice and the bias and the anger and the hatred. And the second you finally look in the mirror and realize that and let go of it, your life's going to open up and things are going to start to prosper. Because if you walk around with that chip on your shoulder, and I can tell you this because I used to have a chip on my shoulder, man. Not racially like you, but I was angry. I was an angry young man because of things that I dealt with in my childhood that no kid should have to deal with. I suffered some things that were tough. There were some very hard years, and I was a very angry young man because of it. And I walked around seeing everything through a filter and just being mad and always knuckled up and ready to go all the time. I was charged up. And once I let go of that, dude, my life opened up. Things prospered. Things started happening for me. Do I have to work twice as hard at it, maybe as some other people to get what, to get equality? Maybe, because maybe I didn't start, with the advantages they had or whatever. Okay. But you can get it, dude. Like, just let go of that shit, man, because it's holding you back. Walking around thinking like that is limiting you as a person. You think it's your race or whatever limiting you. It's not, dude. It's your mentality. That's what's limiting you. And some of the other fighters you brought up earlier, particularly Deontay Wilder and some of the things he said, he's playing into that mindset. This dude's a privileged millionaire. And, once you let go of that filter, things open up for you because people respond. When you're opened up, people come to you. When you're closed off, people walk away from you. So just, take some advice, bro. Gav Bridges, I assume you've taken a few on behalf of your brother. Damn right. Me and my brother sparred once, and I didn't have a damn mouth guard in. And actually, we were just doing a drill. I was coming at him, just giving him offense, and he was playing defense, right? Just shelling up, covering up. This motherfucker decides to punch back at me, cracks me in the jaw. I don't have my jaw clenched because I'm just being offense. So I got lazy, almost broke my damn jaw. I couldn't eat for a weekend, man. My jaw hurt so damn bad, but my jaw held up. Never broke my jaw. I'm proud to say that. Jason82. I assume you have never played or know what one handball is. Yeah, I know what handball is. Against the wall. It's like racquetball with your hand. Yeah, of course I know what that is. But I've never played it. So, good assumption. Rockstar 1996. I assume you've never seen a Game of Thrones in your life. And if you have, you didn't like it. I haven't, then give it... If you haven't, then give it a watch. Good assumption. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. At some point... Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know, dude. It just seems like nerdy shit, over the top, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it at some point. Okay, let's see. Salem Unni, is this 50% Italian jokes? I don't know what that means. Maybe some other guys made Italian jokes and I just haven't got to them yet. Steven Schneider, I assume you were a POG in the Marine Reserve. I was a ground radio repairman, Steven. Schneider. We had a Schneider in my platoon in Paris Island. Is this the Schneider that was in my platoon? Dude, if you are, you better tell me, because holy shit, that would be amazing. Because we had a Schneider in my platoon at PI. I can't remember his first name. But if that's you, dude, and you're trying to play a joke, you better tell me. But I was a ground radio repairman, if you're asking what my MOS was. Sean Morgan, I assume you're a common sense American and a great patriot Marine. Thanks for your service. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. I think I'm pretty common sense. I'm no nonsense. And most of my smarts are street smarts, common sense smarts, worldly smarts. I'm trying to improve the book smarts part. That is a work in progress. Johnny Boy, my assumption is that you like good macaroni. just like your boy does. Salute, buddy. Salute, Johnny boy. And yeah, I had some good macaroni this weekend. I even tweeted a picture of it. I totally sold out and pulled, some female chick move when I took a picture of my food and tweeted it out. But you know what? It looked damn good, and it was damn good. Bombinelli's is a really good place, not too far from where I live right now. Good gravy. Gonzalo Anaya, I assume you were a good soldier in the Marines, but you didn't necessarily like shining your boots and pressing your uniform to standard all the time. Damn good assumption. Yeah. And the Marines is more strict about that than any other service, right? To the level of obsession. But we found this kind of cheat with the shining of the boots. There was this liquid stuff, I can't think of the name of it, that we bought, where it's just liquid Shoeshine. And what I would do is I would just put it at the toes. I would just put the liquid Shoeshine on the toes of my boots, and the rest of it I'd buff real quick, because the toes, because we were in the desert, you'd walk around, all that sand would really get on the toe as you're walking forward. So I would liquid shine the toes, because when you're standing in formation, boom, your boots are like this, right? So, whether it's the CEO or who it is walking in front of you, CEO is commanding officer, so you got, or maybe it's just your squad leader or whatever walking in front of you. They're gonna start here and look down, right, and then look back up. And if they look down and they see that shine on your toes, you're good. So that was a little cheat that we found out with the boots. Gab Bridges, I assume you cannot wait to become a full-on Family Guy. You, Tiff, and three little Monteros. We go back and forth. We're not ready yet, but sometimes we're like, this world is so nuts that we really want to bring children into this world right now. But we both think that we probably will. We definitely do. 3, I don't know. Maybe two. Silvio Silcan. Hey, Mike, I assume you and your boys used to wear some tacky Italian stuff back in the day in Detroit. Present photographic evidence of true. Okay, all that shit's packed up right now, but I will look for some photos once I get moved, because yeah, there was one shirt in particular. Tiffany has seen a picture of me back when my hair was like really wavy, because when it gets long it gets wavy and kind of curly, and I kind of had this like half fro going, and I had a shirt. I used to wear silk shirts that had like tigers on them and animals and stuff, and there was a tiger where like half of it was this side, half of it was that side. You had to button it up to see the tiger, but of course I wore it unbuttoned with my chain and shit popping out. And this is back when I used to like tan. I used to go outside and get real tan. And guys, I gotta find a picture. There was a picture of me where I was so dark. I'm not making this up. I was at Myrtle Beach. Was it? Yeah, I think it was Myrtle Beach. And I was swimming in the water, and these two girls, they were sisters. They were hot. They were mulatto. They were half white, half black. And they came up to me and asked if I was mulatto too. Because I was darker than them, and they were like, "Holy shit, you're darker than us!" And I was like, "No, I'm Italian," And I was telling them they saw I have a tattoo on my chest, the Italian flag, and that's when they said, "Oh, okay, we just saw you from behind, and we were going to ask you," But yeah, anyway, I know too much information. I'll find some pictures. You guys will laugh your ass off. Salem Unni, I assume you got a brother named Anthony or Mark. You eat a scungili salad sometimes. You had a grandmother always wearing a black dress. So, yeah, I've had scungili, of course. I have a brother named Anthony. I have an uncle, a cousin named Mark. And yes, Grandma Montero, she would wear her black dresses. Grandma Montero is actually my great-grandma Montero I'm talking about. My favorite grandma. We'd go to her house on Sundays after Mass, Catholic Mass. And she would cook pasta all day. She loved to cook. She'd be in the kitchen. She had a bottle of Martini and Rossi that she'd just pour a little cup, sip a little bit. She smoked those Salem long cigarettes, and she would just be in there cooking all day. And then we'd watch the Detroit Lions blow it while we ate pasta. That was our Sunday tradition. Foul pole boxing. My assumption is you'll be moving into a construction zone in 2 weeks. Yeah. Pretty much, although it's getting better, dude. I finished the floors upstairs last night. So the upstairs floors are finished, and I'm ready to start in the downstairs now. Jacob Roberts, I bet you're a big Lee Marvin fan. I can't think of who Lee Marvin is. Man, I guess I should Google that. But I don't know. Maybe I know who Lee Marvin is, and I just can't think of the name. But now I gotta look that up. But off the top of my head, I can't think of who Lee Marvin is. Fricky92, although there isn't much to criticize, my assumption is that you don't take criticism well. You know, Fricky, I didn't when I was younger, but I've gotten more and more used to it as I've become more and more in the public eye. Not to say I'm a celebrity or anything like that, but I am somewhat in the public eye through some of the acting and modeling stuff I did early on, and now with the boxing stuff. There have been times, you get criticized. Sometimes it's legitimate criticism, sometimes it's absolute bullshit and just shit from a wacko that's just assuming things about you that is incorrect. So you can kind of brush that aside. But there have been a handful of times where I've been all out, just attacked, whether on Twitter or YouTube or social media. And those, it's been tough to respond right away, or I didn't respond the best way right away because it was, I wasn't used to it. But when you're being all out attacked, I can't imagine what a celebrity might go through where there's thousands of people pouncing on them. But I've had hundreds of people pouncing on me before in one day. And dude, that's tough. That is just tough when you have people saying things about you, assassinating your character, things that are not true, slamming you. It's difficult. And that is a different kind of criticism. But constructive criticism, I think I take that pretty well. I don't like character assassination, that is saying things about me that could really hurt my reputation that's untrue. That shit pisses me off. But you always have to consider the source. If it's from a source that's, a whack job, who gives a shit? But if it's from a source that can actually have an effect on your life, that's difficult. Devin Cruz, I assume you're not a fan of Star Wars. I actually like Star Wars. I liked Star Wars when I was a kid, growing up, the old school Star Wars. The 3 prequels that came out, they were okay. I like the 3rd one the best. I can't remember what the hell, The Return of the Sith, I think. That one was the best of those 3. The last one I saw was the one with the chick. I can't think of her name, I'm going to go Star Wars for just a second. Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. Remember how he had to go back and see Yoda and do all this training? The whole movie, it was 2 hours of him training with Yoda before he was finally ready to face Vader, and then he got his hand chopped off because he wasn't quite ready. He had to go back and do more training, then come back into Return of the Jedi, and then finally he could beat him, right? He couldn't beat the Emperor. He couldn't even do that. It took all this training, right? And this chick, I can't remember her damn name in the last Star Wars I saw, she learned the Force in like a 10-minute montage. And I was like, what the hell is this? They lost it on that one. And I haven't seen any of them since. So the new Star Wars lost me when they went all social justice, feminism with I think there was the last one where there was some commander lady. I didn't see it, but I heard about it, just bossing around all these men. And it didn't work in the story. It was just shoehorned in. It became political. And there was an agenda behind it, and the agenda, of course, is to make money. But then they had to, shoehorn all this other crap in it. So I don't watch the new ones. Renee Salcido, I'm assuming you're driving pantsless. I was driving pantsless in the video. You're talking about the first video. I had shorts on, so technically that was a good assumption. Douglieff, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. Douglieff. I assume that as a fellow Michigander who now lives in the South, you don't miss Michigan winters one damn bit. Hell no. I will say this though. Michigan summers, it gets humid, it gets hot, but nowhere near as hot and humid as it does down here. The Michigan summers are awesome. And the fall and the spring in Michigan, awesome. Winters suck, but it's fun to visit that shit for a week and then leave. And from here in Atlanta, I can do that. I can hop a Delta flight, Atlanta and Detroit, Delta hubs. I could fly right up to Detroit. I can hang out for a week, and then we can leave. So that is cool. Jay Worthy, I assumed that when you were bad growing up, an ass whooping was a common form of punishment. Oh yeah, my dad used to beat the shit out of me. Quick story, I'll give you guys some inside story here. When I was a kid, I was taking a bath. Our shower wasn't working, so I was taking a bath, the shower head thing. And I had learned that week, I was young, I was probably 8 or something. I had learned that week at school about Spitballs. Remember the straws in the lunch the cafeteria or whatever, you get those straws, right? I don't think you do anymore because they outlawed them, but they had the paper around the straw. We'd take that off, you'd roll it up, and you dip it in water or just spit, and you could put it in a straw and you could shoot it out. And we'd shoot them at people and stuff. We'd have fun with we call them spitballs. So I was in the bathtub, and me being the young idiot I was like, ooh, I wonder. I could reach to the toilet paper because the toilet was right by the bathtub. Our bathroom was like, that big. And I grabbed toilet paper and I put it in the bathwater and I threw it and stuck it to the ceiling of the bathtub. And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I thought it was hilarious. And I threw like 10 of them, 20 of them up there. My dad came in like, what the hell are you laughing at? And he saw what I did. And for whatever reason, he was just pissed. He beat the shit out of me. He pulled me out of the bathtub and started whooping my ass. And then he was like, stay here. He went into the kitchen and grabbed a pot and came back and just pounded my ass with this pot until my mom came in and pulled him off me. And she's like, that's enough. So yeah, there were several of those when I was a kid, just for the most random shit like that. My dad was definitely a disciplinarian. Harrison Property. And what the thing is now, my dad is so chill. He's a completely different person now than he was then. I think some of the guys he was around, the neighborhood guys and stuff back in Detroit, some of the things, it was difficult for us. Life was hard. He was working 2 or 3 jobs. I just think he was stressed out. But yeah, he used to whoop the hell out of me, my brother and sister. My sister didn't get it as much, but me and my brother sure did. Harrison Property, I assume that you enjoy smelling your own farts and that if Tiff tells you that, you're gross. I don't think we've done that one quite yet. I try not to fart around Tiffany. Guys fart. It's just what happens. Guys fart. I try to, go into another room and squeak it out, you know what I'm saying? Or sit on a cushion and push it out. But there was one time, the last condo I had in LA, I was doing some plumbing under the kitchen sink. And Tiffany was helping me, and I was doing some plumbing. And man, I just rolled over to grab a wrench or something, and there was just a fart right there. And it just went, it just popped out. And Tiffany was right there. I was like, shit. And she just busted out laughing. I think that was the first time I farted in front of her. And yeah, I thought she was going to be disgusted and yell at me. She just laughed. So she handled it very well. But I tried to keep that shit in, bro. It was at the cusp of my asshole. And when I just reached over to grab that wrench, it came right out. Sometimes you can't help it. Ed Collar says, he assumes that your favorite drink is Peroni, favorite food is pasta, and you enjoy gangsta films. So favorite drink is not Peroni, although a nice light, cold Peroni on draft, always on draft, on a very hot summer day. Not much that's better than that, okay? Peroni is very, very good. The best Italian beer. I do like Moretti, but Peroni is the shit for a light beer. But not my favorite drink. Although I'll tell you, this weekend when I had pasta, I had some buca with it. Down here at some restaurants, I've said, hey, can I get some buca neat? They don't know what the hell that is. I always have to say sambuca, But this place, when I said buca, they knew what that was. They even put the espresso beans in it. They did it right. Anyway, favorite food is pasta? Probably. Yeah, I gotta say. When I'm craving what I call real food, you know what I'm saying? When I've worked hard all day, or when I've been eating real good all week and I've kept it light, I'll tell Tiffany. She'll be like, "Where do you want to go out to eat tonight?" Because it'll be Saturday. We'll go out eat, and I say, "I want real food," and she knows what that means. She knows that means pasta. And gangster films, I love gangster films. Some of them are really bad, but some of the best films of all time have been gangster films. A film like Goodfellas is so true to life, especially with La Cosa Nostra in that era. Just very, very good portrayal of that life at that time. And it's just one of the best movies ever. I can watch Goodfellas 1,000 times. We got to go to a special screening, Tiffany and I, of Goodfellas in an actual theater in LA, and some of the actors from the film were there and did some Q&A. That's one thing I miss about LA is you could do cool shit like that. But that was really, really special. All right, last one. Adam Skolkiewicz. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that, brother. I assume you had plenty of girlfriends, but never dated an Italian one. it's not that I didn't want to date an Italian girl, but yeah, you know what? I had one girlfriend who was Italian. She was half Italian. Her mom was Sicilian. Her dad was from England, so she was half British. She looked more Italian though. She had blonde hair, so she had the British hair, but her body and everything, and her features and everything, her skin tone was definitely more Italian. And I've hooked up with a couple Italian girls. But where I lived in my life, I've never lived in a place that was very Italian. When I was a very young kid, I lived in a very Italian neighborhood. I really did. But by the time I was in high school, I lived in a black neighborhood. And I lived in black neighborhoods until I was 30. And then I moved to LA, where I lived in predominantly Mexican and or Korean neighborhoods, depending on what part of LA I was in. It was all pretty much half Mexican, half Korean where I lived, because Koreatown is still 50% Mexican. But and then I lived in some Salvadorian neighborhoods too. I lived, Westlake was mostly Salvadorian. Anyway, I've never lived in a neighborhood with a lot of Italians since I was a little kid. So the proximity of Italian chicks just wasn't there for me. There was a few that I met, and dated. And the one that was half Italian, half British, I dated her in LA. She was from Chicago and moved out there. But for the most part, like until I was like 30, until I moved to LA, most of my girlfriends were black chicks. A lot of West Indian. I liked the Caribbean black girls, especially black girls that were mixed. A lot of the island black girls, they're part Spanish, part English, something European or maybe Native American. It kind of mixed, got soft hair, wavy hair, lighter skin. That's most of the black chicks I dated. And then at 30, when I moved to LA, I dated a lot of Mexican chicks and Asian chicks. And if you live in LA, so I just dated what was around. You know what I'm saying? I dated what was there. You're a product of your environment. If I, only wanted to find like an Italian girl, and remember guys, I'm Italian, but I'm also Eastern European. I'm Italian and Slavic. So if I wanted to just find an Italian or Slavic girl, I would have been doing a lot of this because there just wasn't a lot of that around. You know what I'm saying? That's just been my life, where I've lived. So it's not that I don't like Italian girls. There's some gorgeous Italian girls, although a lot of them are freaking nuts. But yeah, they just weren't around. All right, guys, that is the Assumptions Tag response video, almost an hour, and we haven't even done TNC yet today. I'm just looking up at my clock, 47 and a half minutes. So, and then I got to talk for an hour and a half later today, and my throat's going to be killing me. I'm about to go hit the gym. I haven't worked out in over a week. I got to get to the gym and hit something. I've just been working on the house. It's probably almost been 2 weeks, man. That's killing me. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to get some business stuff done today, and then TNC later at 7 p.m. I'll see you at the fights. I'll see you at TNC.